defense has the ability to investigate everything thoroughly. And I think it's quite unfair that the government gets to hold on to these things with such a short notice or such a short time frame between the beginning of trial, which essentially is scheduled to begin a week later, at least during the voir dire process. But yes, that is correct.
Question.
That's what's crazy, by the way. It's nuts. When you're in, that's why I always say, like, people really need, if a person sits and watches a federal trial, and I've had many, and where you sit there and someone takes the stand and you say to your client, who's that guy? And he says, I don't even know who that guy is. I don't even recognize him. And they're like, oh, by the way, here's his statement as he takes the stand. And here you're reading a 3-page statement. This guy's talking, and you're reading a 3-page statement, and they don't have to turn. There's no mandatory turnover. Now, some judges are great, right? And they say, hey, turn over the stuff 3 days before trial. Let them at least so they can review it, turn it over a week before trial. And they call this Jenks material 3500, where there's statements that are ongoing. And I don't hold their feet to the fire on everything, because sometimes an agent may get a statement at the last minute that maybe they weren't able to get. But when you have those statements, there is no reason not to turn those over, but for sandbagging. And it's really another unfair area of law that you get to experience, you know, when you're in federal trial. And I remember my very first federal trial, where I'm like, hey, where are these witness statements? Oh, you'll get them when they take the stand. And
you'll get them at the lunch break. You'll get them at the lunch break. Yeah. It really happens. It really happens that soon before someone.
Oh, it depends on the prosecutor and it depends on the judge. But when you have a very,
use your words carefully.
I'm figuring out how to say.
Everybody hit the like button. Everybody hit the like button. Everybody hit the like button. Drop your city in the chat. Let me know where you at. Drop your city in the chat. Let me know where you at. This is the Diddy hearing live, and just so you know, nobody can film what's going on, but everybody is talking about what's going on from the outside. And Inner City Press, there's somebody on Twitter. He is in the courtroom and he is feeding everybody information. So everybody drop your city in the chat. Let me know where you at. And also do me a favor and hit the like button. So let's keep going, because there's a lot of information coming in all at one time.
Say this. When you don't have a good relationship with the prosecutor and you are going toe to toe, and it is, you know, Ivan Drago and Rocky in the courtroom, they abide by the rules like this, and they say, hey, you're not entitled to it until they take the stand. You're not entitled to it until this time, and you don't get it. So it's just like this little game that everybody plays, and what people don't realize is they're playing a game, but someone's life is on the line with this game that they're playing. And that always is what gets me fired up, is that, you know, you're playing these little discovery games, and what is hanging in the balance is not just someone's life, but overall the big picture of justice. What is justice? And that's the problem that a lot of people have when they watch these trials. And I think that's why cameras generally aren't allowed into federal court, is because no one wants to see, like, here's your discovery when someone takes the stand, because people would normally be outraged by that.
Okay, I have quite the update.
So what he's actually saying is Diddy's people are, the prosecution is acting stupid on, you know, what they want to actually put out and what they don't want to put out. And the guy is just simply saying that this can actually hurt the case. And y'all already know, if y'all been following this case or following me, it's so many different scenarios that is affecting this case in a negative way that can blow the whole thing up. So let's keep going.
From court. So the prosecutor said they've told us they will not seek a trial delay, presumably meaning the.
Right there is a mistake, because it's so much information coming in. The May trial date is too early. That's the reason why what was his name, that one of Diddy's lawyers like pulled away, because there's too much going on at one time.
Prosecution and presumably seeming the defense. The defense writes comes back with Mark Agnifilo There is no application with regard to the trial date. We recently came into possession of a lot of medical records. We want an expert on prescription medicines. Judge says, okay. And now we are getting word that the hearing is over, which is very interesting because I feel like there was a lot more issues they needed to get into, but appears maybe not at this point. So now we're going to be waiting for a possible press conference outside of that courthouse. And again, Elizabeth Milner's inside that courtroom. She's going to come out. She's going to clarify anything we don't have questions about and also tell us, what did Diddy look like? And
okay, so I have the Twitter feed of what's going on. Apparently, it was a quick little in and out, you know. So this is what I have thus far. Everybody hit the like button. Everybody hit the like. So, Inner City Press says, put my glasses on. Inner City Press says, after U.S. versus Sean Combs proceeding, will his lawyers who said hotel video is misleading, they're talking about a hotel video, speak to the press? So what they've actually been talking about in this court proceeding is they were discussing, according to what I'm reading, the tape, whether they're going to use the tape or whether they're not going to use the tape. Because at the end of the day, whether the tape was moving fast and it was edited or whether it wasn't edited, we seen what we seen. So the visuals is all we need to see. Like, we don't need to know if it's going faster or slower. He beat her ass, and that's all that needs to be talked about. So even though the video has been doctored, according to what I'm hearing or reading, it's still admissible in court. All right, they told us they will not speak, they will not seek a trial delay. That's what my man just said. Combs' lawyer, Agnifilio, there is no application with regard to trial date. We recently came into possession of a lot of medical records. We want to we want an expert on the prescription medicines, and the judge says, okay. All right, so we caught up on that. So let's keep going.
And what were her observations of him? And was anybody in there supporting him? Okay, before we get to that, we have more questions coming in and to talk a little bit more about this. So Safa, one of the questions that we got is from Ann Brown. Will there be any further superseding indictments?
Good question.
You never know until you know. It would not surprise me with this prosecution team if on the eve of trial or at the 11th hour, there's another superseding indictment. That's why I think it's always important, and again, as a former prosecutor, is that you gather all of the evidence that you have first, and then you put your case into grand jury for indictments. And you indict them on your strongest points and your strongest arguments, and anything that you think fits and is sufficient. Once you get into a second or a third superseding indictment, then as a defense attorney, I look at those things like, you may not have the strongest case, or you may not have had a case as strong as you think you did if you have to continue to add and alter charges. You've had this evidence for quite a bit, at least since last year. So why is it now that you're now adding these additional charges in a superseding indictment?
What up, B-Dot?
It would not surprise me. We won't know unless we get there.
By the way, this is a live look that we have outside of that federal courthouse in downtown Manhattan. We're waiting for a press conference. We're waiting to hear from Elizabeth Milner as well. A question for you, Bradford, from Oh No, I Said My Opinion.
What's up, Nicole?
Doesn't he have the right to face his accusers?
Yeah, I mean, he's gonna face his accusers, you know. And when I was talking about before, when we were discussing whether or not they're going to disclose those names, I don't want to say I'd be a great federal judge, but it's exactly the ruling that the judge said. You know, it's, you got to disclose these names. You're not going to hide these names from somebody and use some excuse that they're afraid to come forward. You're going to describe these individuals. You're going to give them their names. You're going to give them their information so they can have some semblance of a defense against what they're saying. So yes, he's going to have his day in court. He's going to face his accusers, as many as they have. And my guess is, like, they added that paragraph to add more witnesses, right? So they're going to add more witnesses. This is a case, in my opinion, that the prosecution will try to dirty him up as much as possible on anything they possibly can because I think they know the trouble with their case. And
that's the problem right there, y'all. That right there is the problem. They are worried about this case. The prosecution, according to what he just said, goes right along with what I talked about yesterday. Remember, I talked about how Tony Busby is an idiot and he's an ambulance chaser and all this stuff is starting to fall apart. That's literally what I said yesterday. So the prosecution is worried that if they don't muddy everything up, they're going to lose out on this and Diddy is going to be free. That's literally what I said yesterday.
And the trouble with their case, in my opinion, is the same from when I opened. And that what I opened with was, you are going to have to say these sex offs, these freak offs, these things, these multiple individuals. When it boils down to it, then it only is a girlfriend, a prostitute that's getting 10 grand an hour, and Diddy. So now you're going to have to come up with, how did you sell? And you sold me a Ferrari, but sitting outside is a Yugo. How are you going to sell that to me? Right? So that's the problem the prosecution has here. And like I said, legally, is it sufficient? Maybe. But is it in the minds of a jury when you...
It's not. And then he's talking about the jury right now, right? In the mind of the jury, it's easier to prove, excuse me, it's easier to prove, or I'll just stay with prove, that this was just a freak off, and what's wrong with a freak off, and it's nothing illegal, especially if they don't make that tape of her and him in the hallway fighting admissible in court. But I do think that video is going to be admissible in court. But at the end of the day, it's not enough evidence going against Diddy that is credible. That's the actual thing. It's not enough credible evidence. Why? Because stupid Tony Busby keeps coming out here and going after Jay-Z, and Jay-Z is making him look like a fool. So that means his credibility as a lawyer is getting thrown out at some point because he's looking so stupid because he's over here fighting with Jay-Z, and Jay-Z ain't hearing that shit. See, it's one thing about suing a person that's in jail presently. It's another thing about a person that's not in jail that has way more resources and way more influence over other people. So like I said yesterday, the second he started going after Jay-Z is when this whole situation started falling apart. And then now we're hearing about CNN doctoring or editing the damn the hallway video. Everything is literally falling apart. Everybody hit the like button. Everybody hit the like button. Anybody in here, welcome to the show.
You see some guy who's making 10 grand an hour, and you're going to get evidence that the girls were there and they were...
The guy making $10 an hour is a prostitute, according to what he's saying. He's just making a scenario.
Doing it, and they were contacting these individuals on their own in some instances, I've heard. When you start hearing those things, I think it makes the case more difficult to say this is sex trafficking.
Right. I agree. I think that there is going to be an important, clear narrative the prosecution has to assert in order to have this jury accept and understand these charges. This is not the most straightforward case, but it'll be interesting to see who the witnesses are and what that narrative is. I will tell you, and this is interesting, Safa. So, by the way, I love the idea of Judge Bradford Cohen. Fair but firm. Yes, Judge Cohen. Fair but firm. There we go. Safa, let me go to you on this. We have a question from KXTTY Meowsers. Could Diddy be charged with tampering with evidence? Now, my understanding is right now he's hit with multiple acts of tampering with a witness, victim, or informant, not as individual charges, but again, underlying charges, underlying acts, to be more specific, as part of the racketeering conspiracy case. Could he be charged, either a part of that or separately, with tampering with evidence?
That's always a possibility. Again, with respect to that type of charge, I think if they were going to charge it, they would have already done it in that manner. Of course, we don't know if everything's been turned over to the defense at this point in time. We don't know, and we've still got the witness names that are outstanding. So could something happen between the time of those disclosures and the time that we get to trial, or as these individuals are testifying? Absolutely.
All right. 10 minutes ago, we just got this Twitter feed. After U.S. versus Sean Combs. Oh, okay. Never mind. That's the same one.
So that is a possibility, although it doesn't seem to be that at this point in time.
Bradford from Rel, do you think it matters who gave CNN the tape?
That's a good one. Does it matter in the criminal case? You know, it could. It just depends on how they got it, when they got it. Again, it goes to the chain of custody, right? So if this person is really dirtied up, if this is someone who has fraud charges in his past and all these different things, is it possible that it could be added to Mark's motion by saying, hey, they only have this other video. This guy says he's got the quote unquote original, but this guy is not a good guy. He's got fraud in his past. We need to put him on the stand and find out where he got it from and how he got it. Certainly it could. I don't know if it's going to. I think that would lend itself more to like how CNN got the video, what they did with the video, and things of that nature to hold them in contempt and or have some sort of investigation on why they allegedly destroyed the original tape.
So we have two questions.
Yes, the hotel is no longer there. It's either burned down or out of business. And if it's burned down, you already know who burned it down. So yes, there is no more hotel in that. So yeah, you're right. There's no more hotel. What happened to the hotel? I'm not exactly sure, but it's not there no more.
That are very similar, and I'm going to go to it. We have one from Movement Freedom. How long is his max sentence at this point? And also from Nanny X3, how much time can he possibly get? So Safa, I'm going to throw it to you, but first I'm going to lay out what the actual the range is here, and you tell me what's a possibility if he's convicted across the board. So I'm actually taking this from the press release from the Department of Justice when he was indicted. So the racketeering conspiracy carries a maximum sentence of life in prison. The sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion carries a maximum sentence of life in prison. And
now that one right there is the one that they don't have enough evidence for. The trafficking one, there's no evidence for that. And that is the reason why the conversation about the freak offs and that tape in the hotel room, which is assumed that Cassie was leaving a freak off because things got too heated or something, and she's just sick of it. And that's when he started beating her up. So if none of that can be proved, this trafficking case is going to be over, but there's other charges. The charge is going to be over, not the case.
And a mandatory minimum sentence of 15 years in prison. And the transportation for purposes of prostitution carries a maximum sentence of 10 years in prison. What do you think he would get, Safa, if he was convicted?
Hold on, let me back up.
So I'm actually taking this from the press release from the Department of Justice.
I wanted to back this up because I want to make sure we heard that right.
Just when he was indicted. So the racketeering conspiracy carries a maximum sentence.
Racketeering and conspiracy, that is the one thing that we may be able to get him on.
Of life in prison. The sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion carries a maximum sentence of life in prison and a mandatory minimum sentence of 15 years in prison.
He's probably going to get off on that one.
And the transportation for purposes of prostitution carries.
Transportation for purpose of prostitution can easily be a charge.
He's a maximum sentence of 10 years in prison. What do you think he would get, Safa, if he was convicted?
Oh, what he would get is going to be interesting because one of the things that happens in federal court that is different from state court is we have a chart that are the sentencing guidelines, and where Mr. Combs would fall on those sentencing guidelines is going to depend on how he's categorized, any prior criminal history he may have had, any aggravating factors or anything of that sort. And I'm sure if Mr. Combs is convicted, his attorney is going to set forth a mitigation package to the judge, and at the sentencing hearing will provide many things that would mitigate the sentence that Mr. Combs could ultimately face, which Mr. Combs may never see the light of day again if he's convicted on these charges. So that is certainly a possibility. That's how serious they are. There is the possibility that after a trial, a jury may come back guilty on some charges and not guilty on others. hypothetically, if the jury were to come back not guilty on the charges that carry the life sentence, but come back guilty on a charge that may carry a penalty of 10 to 15 years, then he would be sentenced as such.
Question, everybody watching, just a question. According to everything that we're seeing, according to everything that we've been talking about, drop the amount of time you think he's going to get if he's guilty of something. Say he's not guilty of some stuff, which I think is going to happen, but he ends up guilty on one of these charges. Give me a number that you think he's going to do if he's guilty of one of these charges. What do you think? What time do you think he's going to get if he's guilty of one of these charges? Because as long as it's 3 charges, we might be okay.
By the way, we have a question here we're waiting, by the way, for Elizabeth Milner. Our word is she might be jumping on relatively soon. So as soon as she can, we'll jump out to her. Question from either Michael or Mikhail Jordan. Michael Jordan, Mikhail Jordan. When and if will there be another bail hearing? It's not going to happen. They've abandoned that issue a while back. But there is a question for you, Bradford. This is actually a really good question. From Master Shake. Will there be reenactments during the trial? How would that work?
I tend to feel that question was loaded. But
what would ever give you that idea?
I would answer no. I don't believe there's going to be any reenactments during the.
So I'm looking at the numbers y'all dropped out. Drop numbers. What do y'all think? What time? How much time do you think Diddy is going to get? So I looked up what R. Kelly got. R. Kelly got sentenced to 30 years. And then if you look at just another person, what is his name? Daystar. What is his name? Daystar. He got, I think, 10 years. So I think he's probably going to do 4 of those 10 years. Tory Lanez. So I think, in my opinion, R. Kelly got 30 years, but I don't think there are witnesses with Diddy's situation. Diddy's situation is just a whole bunch of lawsuits, and there's a whole bunch of people saying he did something, but there's no actual victims that, like, R. Kelly was specifically, like, everybody told on R. Kelly. A lot of people are not telling on Diddy. So if R. Kelly got 30 years in prison, Tory Lanez got 10 years in prison for simply discharging a firearm. I'm just looking at how courts just, I would say he's going to get somewhere in the middle. I think he's going to get 15 years in prison. I think he gets federal probation. And that's it? Okay. I think he's going to do 15 years in prison, and he's going to do like 7.
Trial. This isn't one of those cases that there will be reenactment.
Would you like a different question? I'll give you a different question. Stacy D asks Bradford, if he's found innocent, can he be tried by the state again for different charges?
Actually, you can be charged by the state with the same charges. So that's the difference in state and federal court, in terms of, and when I say the same charges, I don't mean the same statute numbers. State crimes and federal crimes can be charged simultaneously for the same thing, and you can be charged twice. And we've seen this done in the past on cases that, bring outrage to society, where, an individual maybe got off on the state charges, and then the feds are like, hey, we didn't like that result, so we're going to charge them federally. And or the other way around, where the feds have walked the guy, all of a sudden you get a not guilty on a federal case, and the state's like, let me have a whack at it. I had a case in Tampa where I got a not guilty on a federal gun charge, and then the state charged him with murder with the same gun.
Damn. They charged him with murder with the same gun. God damn. So shit. That's crazy.
And of course I won that too. But they tried.
Oh, okay. So he won on both of them though. Okay. Because I think if you beat your Fed charge, I think the state charge will be a little bit easier to beat. What do y'all think?
Yeah,
but they tried. They tried.
Yeah. We have a question from Life's a Gamble, who's been very patient, been sending a lot of questions in the chat. This I'll go to you, Safa. Will all of these civil cases be exposed when the trial starts? And I think there's...
What's up, Kara? And this is the thing. The civil cases are only going to start after his trial, and his trial may take a year.
What, over now 30 lawsuits that he might be facing, maybe even more? Will all of these civil cases be exposed when the criminal trial starts, Safa?
Do you mean exposed like in the criminal case? I'm going to assume that maybe if you're asking, is there going to be a reference to the civil cases throughout the criminal
I guess
trial?
those allegations, are they going to be a part of the criminal case or be talked about or discussed in some way?
Well, I think the basis for some of these criminal charges outside of Ms. Ventura's lawsuit against Mr. Combs, some of the allegations in those civil suits are the basis for this indictment. And so I think that some of them go hand in hand. I don't know that we will specifically hear, and this will go to credibility to some extent. And, if Ms. Ventura testifies, the likelihood that she filed a civil case against Mr. Combs is going to come into question, and what she received. And all of those things will weigh to her credibility. So if she accepted money, which we know she did, or there was some sort of settlement, it will come into play with respect to that. I don't think the prosecutor is going to get up on their opening and say, Mr. Combs is XYZ, and not only that, but he has 30 civil cases, that are pending against him. I don't think they would say anything like that. But some of the factual basis that are alleged in the civil complaints will be referenced in the criminal case.
So a couple of questions we have here from Maria Gothica. Is the trial going to start on the 5th or be pushed back? Right now, it looks like it's going to start on the 5th, although it seems that the openings are going to happen maybe at the 12th or the 13th. Diabilita Beauty, will the trial be open to the public? I mean, Bradford, generally speaking, we know there's no cameras there. We know that media will be allowed in. What is the ability of the general public to come in and watch what's happening?
Depends on the courtroom. In New York, there's one bigger courtroom, but most of those courtrooms are pretty small. They fit maybe 70 people in the pews, 60 people in the pews. So I'm sure they're going to have some sort of lottery or line. They usually have some sort of register your name the day before to see if you can get in type situation where they.
Hold on, let me answer these questions. Let's see. Mr. Let Go, he is going to do 85% of his time. I did Fed time. Anytime he gets sex offenders don't get no programs or love in the feds. But everything isn't in the sex offenders charge. UG, do you want to come up since you did Fed time? I think that'd be a good conversation to have. So UG, if you would like to come up, just say bring me up and I'll drop the link. So I'll just drop the link anyway. But yeah, if anybody wants to come up, Kara, if you want to come up, I think this would be a good conversation to have. All right, celebrities impacted don't have enough pull to Weinstein Diddy. I don't know. I don't know. If Diddy starts snitching, it's over. They're trying to globally humiliate and financially break Diddy like R. Kelly and Bill Cosby. Oh, okay. But yeah, UG, what UG just said, you'll do 85% of the time anytime he gets S offenders. But the thing about it is all the charges are not about the trafficking. I personally don't think he's going to get a trafficking issue. I don't think that's going to be an issue.
Sir.
Yo, how's it going?
Good, man. I've been following you since you opened your channel. How you doing, brother?
Oh man, thank you, third. I'm doing great. Hold
on, I'm breaking up a little bit. Let me stop real quick.
No, you good. Oh yeah, he breaking up a little bit now.
Hold on, let me move up a little bit. Hold on, I'm in my truck. I'm trying to get the best signal.
Gotcha.
Give me one second, and we're gonna talk about that.
Yeah.
Now
okay.
I can.
Okay.
Okay, now right here, I got good signal here now.
Yeah.
Let me move up again. Hold on, 'cause it's kind of like breaking up. I don't know. Tell me when it
You
gets
good
good
on my
signal.
end though. You good. Just talk. You good.
Right now? Okay. Okay. All right. Hold on. Let me turn off my truck because I'm a truck driver. All right. So when anybody that has any of those crimes in the feds, they don't get no type of love, man. No good time, no none of that. Well, they get good time, but they don't get no like First Step Back or any type of program, no type of love, man, at all. Hello? I don't know if
Yeah.
it's breaking up or what.
Can you hear me? So is that because of a sex offender situation, or are you saying anybody that goes to the feds? Give him a second. He may come back. He's losing his signal. Bridget says he'll do 25. Me Too was a pizza fence cover. A pizza fence cover? What the hell? All right. UG will come back. He's about to drop some knowledge on us.
Let some just average Joes in, as opposed to having
is that when somebody is making
a security guard for Sean Combs back in 2018, that at the time he was this Las Vegas police captain. He posed as a deputy in California, responds to this alleged gang rape allegation involving Combs, and then allegedly takes Parham and another plaintiff at gunpoint, restrains them, refuses to let them call, for help or an attorney, and then tries to cover this up. It's a startling allegation. We know that there's other high-profile people named in this. I don't know if you've had an opportunity to see it, but what are your thoughts on it?
I have not had an opportunity to see it, but those allegations are definitely pretty gruesome if taken as true. I think that one of the things that we always have to remember is that when somebody is making an allegation or when somebody is charged with a crime, they are simply allegations. They are not facts. They're not facts until a jury or a judge, if you opted for a bench trial, were to find them as facts. So I'm not too familiar about this new civil suit.
Everybody hit the like button. Everybody hit the like button. To the new people that just came in, please hit the like button, please, and thank you.
Don't know if it could come into play with the criminal case. I doubt it will, unless the prosecution has some relevant information that they think that they can use, and they'll try to use it, of course, if they can. So I'm not too familiar with that to really make that determination.
Bradford, let me go to a different question for you. This is from Sharon Clark. When will anyone else be charged as well as Diddy? It's kind of the Ghislaine Maxwell effect, right? She was charged about being and convicted of being part of this sex trafficking plot and ring, an international ring, and yet she was the only one charged. Is there anybody else who's going to be criminally charged alongside Sean Combs?
I don't think at this point. I don't think so. I think that maybe after.
Whoa. How can it be a RICO charge, a conspiracy charge, and nobody else is convicted? Can anybody explain that to me? Hopefully UG will come back so he can explain this. How the hell are you going to go down on RICO charges and there ain't nobody else in the RICO?
Try.
Like, I thought his mom, Janice Combs, got indicted. Janice Combs didn't get indicted? What the hell? Did y'all not remember that they said Janice Combs got indicted?
Maybe it shakes out where other people, might get charged. I think that what's unusual is there's not a lot of unindicted co-conspirator number one, unindicted co-conspirator number two. There's not a lot of that in this.
UG, you there? You there,
Yeah,
bro?
I'm here. How you doing, man?
I'm good. So real quick question, and we can get into other stuff. This guy just said that it's a good possibility that nobody else will be indicted or charged for any of this stuff. How can you get a RICO charge, a conspiracy charge, and nobody else gets indicted? Can you explain that?
Okay, listen, this is how it is. I went to prison for a drug case with my father, and I'm on federal probation right now. I'm going to tell you how it works, okay? What they do is all those people that are telling on him, they go stand in front of a jury pool. There's no judge there and a prosecutor, right? And they say, okay, this Mr. Diddy, whatever. They say all the allegations of them, and then I guess they show some type of proof, and then that's how they build complaints, and that's how they indict people. That's how they build cases on people. So a conspiracy, they don't have to catch you with nothing or nothing. It could just be a person saying that you did that, and they hit you with a conspiracy. That's it. And it's crazy. It's a sad world, but it's really like that. I got 10 years for a phone call, and I didn't even talk about drugs, bro. You know what I'm saying?
What about Rico? Is Rico different than that?
Well, Rico, I think a Rico's more when it's like an enterprise. Like, let's say if it's a gang or like a group of people.
Yeah.
But I really don't know why they charge him with a Rico. I don't understand that. That part I don't understand. Because
altogether, his mom, you know, according to what we're hearing, you know what I'm saying, because we're not lawyers or whatever. His mom, there was recently a police officer that posed as a sheriff. Like, he had a whole, it's Rico worthy, but we don't see anybody. And do you think they got people, but they're snitching and there's no reason to, you know, say they got them if they snitching, possibly?
Well, no, it could be because people on my case that were cooperating against me, they put a separation and they keep them away from you. And the only time they come out is when they're going to go to trial, and they put them in court, man, and they testify against you. See, I just be guilty because I had a record from the state. You know what I'm saying? So I just what I did was I read a book that's called Busted by the Feds, and I read it for 2 days straight. And all I got from that book was that they got a 99% conviction rate and a 1% chance you're gonna win in trial. Even sometimes if you're not guilty, they'll find a way to convict you. It's the Feds. They're unfair. You know, not to talk bad about them, but it's the truth. They're the government. They do whatever they want. You know what I mean? Nobody takes it to trial. And they got 90% of the people in the Fed, less than a 10%, keep it real and don't cooperate.
So, with all that being said, Diddy's going to prison. Right?
He's going to do time. I think he's going to do time. I think he is. I think he is. He's not getting out of that, brother.
Even with this tape situation where CNN allegedly doctored the tape, and what if the videotape is inadmissible?
Oh, that I was talking. That's what I was talking to with somebody. That right there, it could be a discrepancy because they're not supposed to expose anything if they're trying to convict something of that. That I did see that. That could help them in a way. But you know what? Like I said, the government does whatever they want, man. They do whatever they want, to be honest. You know, that's just a fact.
Kara said if Martha Stewart did time, the dealer's going to do time. That makes sense.
Exactly, exactly. And she ended up doing like less than a year or some shit. I don't know what she did, tax evasion or something like that, man. Listen, my father is my co-defendant. He is sick, blind, has a transplant. They didn't care. They don't care about nothing. They don't even care about your health. I seen a guy. I was fighting. You know, I got in a lot of fights. I broke my hand fighting in the building in Miami, and they took me to the outside hospital. I don't want to talk about the guy like that, but he was there for robbery. He got shot in the robbery. He got shot from the side, and they were still convicting him, bro. They put him in a medical facility. Time they do not, bro. They don't wash your ass.
Oh, man,
the only way you're not gonna do time with the feds. I'm sorry. Could you hear me?
It's okay.
Could you hear me now or no?
I can hear you now. Yeah.
So I'm trying to stay in the same place because I'm in my car and I just got off work. I'm a truck driver. But the only time you're not gonna do time in the feds, brother, if you give the feds enough evidence to cooperate against somebody, like you do a big case, that they'll give you immunity. But even when you tell, you still got to go do a little bit of time. They got the 5K1. It's called the 5K1 that you build cases on people. You get caught, they send you back on the street to build cases and build a conspiracy on people. And then they got a Rule 35 as well. A Rule 35 is when you're willing to take the stand on somebody or you get convicted
and you build a case on somebody, they sentence you, and then they bring you back to court to just in case that person that you told on wants to go to trial, they bring you back from prison for you to go testify against them, bro. This is crazy. Damn. What I seen, man. They got something called a 197 federal informant. Those are people that get paid annually salaries by the feds. I could get in trouble for saying this. They'll probably target me for this, but I'm just being real. That they get paid annually salaries and build cases. People are infiltrated in gangs and everything. Yeah. They even motorcycle gangs, like everything. They infiltrate and they get paid annually salaries. And guess what? They don't even come out on paperwork, bro. They don't even come out on the paperwork. Like they got something. You know what I saw in the feds? They got something called third-party cooperation. I don't even know Big Meats. I don't care about that guy. But I'm just saying, look what they're accusing him of. That he was doing 20, 30 years, and he got somebody from the outside. I seen that in the feds. It's true. You could build cases on people with somebody else to reduce your sentence, man. It's real. And your paperwork is good on your case because you didn't tell. But you got somebody doing a crime, telling on you out there to get you out, to give you credit to come home early. You understand what I'm saying?
And that's exactly what happened with Big Meech. He tried to circumvent the system and act like he didn't tell.
Yeah. But you know what? I feel bad for that guy. I don't even know that guy, but I guess in the situation he decided to do it. Whatever, that's his problem. You know what I'm saying? But he probably didn't tell on the case, but he was like, "Fuck it, I want to go home." Whatever. I don't know what was going through his mind, but people do that shit. The feds is crazy. Another thing that might get me in trouble. Which I want to say that to people. Like the things I saw when I was in that building in downtown Miami was they get the Colombian guys from Colombia, big drug lords that are cooperating. They leave them in the building, Mr. Let Go. They give them 30 years, bro, right? And then those guys with the cell phones, the marshals, they bring them downstairs underground, and they call over there and they set up boats with people that are poor, that are fishermen in Ecuador and all that. They put a tracker on the boat. And they do is they give people conviction rates. They give the prosecutor conviction rates so the guy could get time off in the building, but he's a millionaire. So it takes him a bunch of years turning in boats. So it's basically fabricated cases to give people to give the prosecutor conviction rate for us to have something to read on the Miami Herald. Oh, look, they got this boat with whatever, 100 kilograms or whatever. I seen that. So that's all I learned from that shit when I'm talking to real. That is corruption for conviction rates, and it's just corrupted. And I learned at the end of the day, crime doesn't pay, bro. It only pays for the moment. I made money, but with the 10 years I got, my kids suffer. My dad went to prison, almost died in the shoe in the COVID. When he got out, they put him in the shoe because he had to get two negative COVID tests to be released. They were giving him peanut butter and jelly 3 or 4 times a day in the shoe, okay? And they found him with an 800 sugar level, almost dying on the floor. So I'm just saying, So I'm just saying, I've been through so much shit. I even wanted to write a book about my life, man. But I'm like, I don't know if I should. You know what I mean? Yeah, bro, it's crazy. And I grew up in Miami.
Hold on. Shout out to Tara Jackson. Thank you so much for becoming a member of the channel. Thank you so much.
Okay.
All right. So let's play a little bit more of the video. I appreciate your insight, man. Just keep hanging out. I want to see what else the guy's about to say.
Let's see. And when you see RICOs in the past, you would see, there's unindicted co-conspirators. There's another 15 guys that are going to be unindicted co-conspirators. And although they're not indicted in this case and may never be indicted, they are part of this, this RICO. That's what makes this unusual. I think it's unusual. I think they threw the kitchen sink at this case because, like I said, I think they have some worries. And it's shocking when you say the government might have some worries with their case because they have a 98% conviction rate. But, on these high-profile cases, no prosecutor wants to lose, number one. Number two.
Hey, you heard what he just said? You heard what he just said?
What is that?
He said, you heard what he just said? 98% conviction rate. I told you. Hey, listen.
But he did say that they're nervous, though.
That they're nervous?
That's what he said. Oh, hold on, let me back it up. He said they're a little nervous about messing it up. Watch this.
Level, but not like, oh, everybody, everybody in line, that there's 300 people in line, everybody's getting in. I don't think that's going to happen.
Got another question because from Life's a Gamble has asked a bunch of questions here. This is a good one. Saf, I'll go to you. What are your thoughts on the new recent lawsuit that includes the police chief having ties to this? Will this be a separate thing? Now, I don't know if you had an opportunity to see what this is, Safa, but this was an amended complaint filed by Ashley Parham that names a number of different defendants. And apparently there is an allegation that the Maui police chief, John Pelletier, was involved in this, that there was a cover-up, that he is accused of being essentially a security guard for Sean Combs back in 2018, that at the time he was this Las Vegas police captain. He posed as a deputy in California, responds to this alleged gang rape allegation involving Combs, and then allegedly takes Parham and another plaintiff at gunpoint, restrains them, refuses to let them call, for help or an attorney, and then tries to cover this up. It's a startling allegation. We know that there's other high-profile people named in this. I don't know if you've had an opportunity to see it, but what are your thoughts on it?
All right, so let me go back to what I was trying to show you, and I'll come back to this.
Okay.
Hold on a second.
I'm listening.
So I'm sure they're going to have some sort of, lottery or line. They usually have some sort of register your name the day before to see if you can get in type situation where they let some just average Joes in as opposed to having your credentials. So yes, all courts are open to the public, generally speaking. It would have to take a really big act to close the doors of a judicial hearing. There are some circumstances where there's juveniles.
Got another question.
I think it's the service right here, man, where I'm at.
Oh, okay. All right. Let's keep going. Okay.
Some worries with their case because they have a 98% conviction rate.
Oh, here you go.
But
here you go.
This, this RICA.
Here we go.
That's what makes this unusual.
Can you hear now? This is it. Can you hear? Oh, he's breaking up.
I think it's unusual. I think they threw the kitchen sink at this case because, like I said, I think they have some worries. And it's shocking when you say the government might have some worries with their case.
So you heard that? Did you hear that?
You hear me?
Yeah. Did you hear what he said just now?
No, I really couldn't hear it because I kept breaking up. I keep going in and out with the signal right here. But could you repeat? Just tell me what he said, please.
He just said the government is worried, even though they have a 98% conviction rate. The government is worried. They're worried. They're still worried.
Maybe they're worried because of what they're talking about and what the lawyer's using as a defense, that they expose all the evidence or whatever and putting it out there before they even convicted him. Just like that guy that killed the United Healthcare or whatever. Like, they're trying to use him like he's guilty. Like, he can't do that. Even if he probably did or he didn't, they can't accuse him like that. They can't be exposing all the evidence they got him. They're acting like he's already guilty and he hasn't even had a trial. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what you get. What I'm trying to tell you, or no? So I kind of do. I kind of do understand what they're saying, or what they're saying. Yeah, that is kind of true. And especially that he's a big celebrity. He's a big celebrity.
On these high profile cases, no prosecutor wants to lose. Number one. Number two,
exactly.
The Southern District of New York hates to lose. They don't like losing. They're like me, kind of, but worse because they work for the government. So they don't like to lose. So if they can throw the kitchen sink at you, they're going to throw the kitchen sink at you. All they got to do is hang you up on one of those counts. A 15-year min-man, a 10-year, a 20-year, and then they can say, they take their hat off, put it on the coat rack, and say, "Hey, we got them." That's all they need. Well, so they don't need the life felony. They just need the 15, 20 year.
Well, Bradford, I'll follow this back up to you. We have a question from Rel directed towards you specifically. Do you think you could win this trial, Bradford?
Yes. That's funny. Listen, as a defense attorney, and I'm sure Safa will agree with me, there's never a time where I take a case that I think I'm going to lose the trial. I don't care how bad the facts are. I don't care what my case is. I don't care what the charges are. It does not matter to me. If you have a defense attorney that takes a case that he thinks, I don't know. The answer is I don't know if I could win this case, but I think I could. I mean, I think I can win every case.
Yeah, and that is why you are Bradford Cohen. So Safa, this is an interesting question from Great White 9995. You mean there are no videos of the freak offs? Now let me.
All right, here we go.
Tell you my experience. I've been covering a lot of this on Sidebar. Based on the pretrial filings, it seems to me the defense is not asserting that there's not videos, not even videos of freak offs. They might acknowledge that that's what it is, but that it's consensual. That it's all consensual sex. Is that what you've seen as well? I mean, I don't think anybody's denying that there might.
Yeah, it's all consensual sex, or either everybody's drugged up and you can't tell that somebody's getting taken advantage of.
Exactly. I think a lot of those people, let's be real, like in the Hollywood industry, like they all agree with that. They're all in favor of that shit, man. You know, a lot of people are freaks and bisexual, man. Let's be real. I'm straight. I'm just saying, like, that's their problem. But you know that a lot of those people were down with that shit, man. They were willing to do that and have fun and party. Come on, nobody forced them, you know.
So you got these stars that are okay with whatever's going on, and then you got the prostitutes that were paid to be there. You actually think the prostitute ain't finna have sex?
Yeah, of course they are, and a lot of them, and a lot of them are just trying to make $1, man. You know what I mean? Everybody just trying to make money, bro. You know, a lot of them want to get paid.
Yeah.
Absolutely, I'm willing to bet my life.
And I'm not gonna say that he did it. I'm not gonna say that. I mean, he might not did what he did, but a lot of them are trying to get paid, man. In reality, people want to make $1, bro.
Which means everything's consensual on them tapes, most likely. All right, let's see.
That there are absolutely videos. I know that there was a significant amount of discovery that was provided in this case. There was discovery and search warrants for his iCloud and, technical footage and all kind of things. So I'm fairly certain. And the way that the prosecution alleges these acts took place, down to, people in the enterprise that were setting up the lighting and, making sure they had proper supplies for these freak off events. They knew that information because there were videos, and there are videos. Could we see some of those videos played at trial? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But of course, we'll see. We don't know as of yet, but I'm sure that there are videos. I'm sure there are videos of the freak offs, and there's a very good chance that those will be played at trial.
But then we just gonna see a whole bunch of ass and titties up in the air, and that's about it.
Safa, let me follow
up. One of the things the prosecutor is going to have to do is go to prove the point that this was against the person's will. Say hypothetically that CNN video is kept out under best evidence, and now we have just the freak off videos. The prosecution's going to try to piece together their case by saying that here we have the sex worker in the video. They were paid X amount of money. They were transported to California, hypothetically, via New York or wherever they came from or wherever they were going to. And the activity in the video shows drug abuse, it shows violence, it shows threats or coercion, or maybe a part of it may, and then they continue to engage in these freak-offs. That is the best piece of evidence. Footage is the best piece of evidence, and we certainly will see that here.
Safa, let me just follow up with another question from B Cause. If somehow Diddy walks on the federal charges, can any of the civil charges, they're not necessarily charges, but civil claims, be turned into new federal charges later on if he is found guilty in the civil courts? And,
that's a good question.
Found guilty in the civil courts, he could be found liable. But does that make sense to you? If he's found innocent, if he's found not guilty in the criminal case, can they take any of the civil cases, the allegations in the civil cases, and mount that into further charges that maybe have state?
You know what's going to happen? I think
that's going to happen because one of the things that we do know has been happening is that the government has been monitoring those civil cases, and some of those factual allegations in those civil cases have made their way into this federal RICO indictment, or at least there's going to be mention of it. So I don't think that's going to be the case. I don't think that's going to happen. I think.
Okay, what'd you say?
That what I think is going to happen with those civil cases, a lot of them are going to get dropped. But if he does go free, I'm not saying what's going to happen. If he does, he's just going to pay off a lot of people, man. He got money, bro. to keep people quiet. He's gonna shut people up and pay them.
Yeah, so if he gets off, he's gonna be broke. Yeah.
Basically, he's gonna pay off a lot of people, man.
Yeah.
What do you think? What do you think?
That part I don't really know because I don't know enough about the law where a civil case can turn into a federal. I'm not exactly sure.
I don't think they're gonna bring. I don't think they're gonna bring the civil cases to the feds. I don't think so.
Yeah.
Cases is going to be used in this specific prosecution to the extent that it.
Depending on how, so there's a couple things there. It's multiple. It's not just one answer, right? Depending on what courtroom they're in New York, there are courtrooms where there are specific screens for the jury that are right in front of the jury. Everyone has a screen, and then there's a screen for the judge, and a screen for the defense, and a screen for the government. Sometimes they'll just play it on those screens, and then the people in the pews don't get to see what's on those screens. I've seen that happen in these type of situations where there's sensitive material that's being played. I've also seen it happen where there's one big screen and it's played and the jury's sitting there, the lights go down and there's a big screen and everyone gets to see what's on the screen. The judge also has his own or her own screen, or they move and they watch what's on that big screen. So that could be done. The third thing is it could be that only when they're showing the specific video, they could try and exclude the press and the public, which is a computer
Operating as well, and in some statutory basis, that is also required to be turned over to us as defense attorneys, like in
this case. And like I said, my gut feeling is they're going to try and get him and convict him, and then see if he gets 15, 20, 25 years. See if he'll flip on somebody, because he's not flipping now.
Oh, right there. You hear that? He's not flipping on nobody right now. It's been. Because sometimes we don't know. He said he's not flipping on nobody now.
Right. And if they
exactly.
get him and they
so if he does that, when he flips, let's say he were to flip, it don't matter what celebrity. I don't know those people, but he'll be doing a Rule 35. Like basically he's willing to tell on somebody else to bring him onto the indictment where he could get less time. You know what I mean? They'll give him like a downward departure. They'll give him a downward departure. That's what it's called.
Downward departure. Okay.
Feeling is they're going to try and get him and do time for less, and then see if he gets 15, 20, 25 years. See if he'll flip on somebody, because he's not flipping now, right? And if they get him and he gets 20 years, 25 years, 30 years, that sometimes sways individuals into saying like, okay, maybe I will be a snitch. So it could be that they're waiting to see if he gets convicted, and then if he does get convicted, to see if he will flip on individuals that they could get, because they might need his testimony in order to lock those individuals down, because some of those individuals may be very high net worth individuals, and the government hates nothing more than someone that actually has the funds that can actually fight them on an effective basis. They hate that more than anything. So if you are worth $50 million and can sink $20 million into a lawsuit, into a criminal case like they do, and you can actually have a good defense, they hate that. They despise rich people because they hate people that actually have the wherewithal.
Go ahead, say it again.
That is true what he's saying, man. But the only thing I think that I don't kind of believe, maybe in his case is different, but once you get convicted, I don't think that he could go and like reopen the trial and indict people. If he's gonna start telling, I think he's gonna start telling before he gets convicted. He'll stop the trial and be like, oh, I want to tell now. You know what I mean? That's how I think it works. Because once he gets convicted, that's it. He's convicted. He's doing his time.
So how early or how late can he go in and say, okay, I want to snitch? Is it too late now?
Well, he could do it right now. He could still do that shit right now because he hasn't even gone to trial. He's just waiting. He's just sitting there. You know what I mean? He's just sitting there. He's waiting, and he could do it right now before trial or whatever. Like if he's gonna go to trial, he could do it right now.
Okay.
Right now.
Got it.
Mm-hmm.
To fight them effectively. So the answer is there should be other individuals. I don't know what they're planning on doing. I think that they may be falling after this case, but it could be that all they wanted was Diddy and everyone else is going to cooperate and everyone else is going to stand there and point the finger, and that's the bad guy.
Well, we shall see. What I can tell you is we have broken down a lot so far. We have more that we're going to break down. I have to excuse Judge Bradford Cohen, and I have to excuse Safa Robinson Ferrer at this point. Thank you both so much for coming on. Really, really appreciate it. You both are terrific.
Wow.
All right, so that is it. So this preliminary hearing, we didn't really get a lot from it. So nothing really happened. It was kind of uneventful. They were just in there arguing about whether the tape is going to be used as evidence or not. But at the end of the day, according to what you're saying, he's most likely going to do 10 to 15 years and probably do 7 or 8, right?
Yes, and if any of the charges had to do with anything like sexual, he's still going to be registered as a sexual offender. Even though I'm not saying, you know what I'm saying? He's going to be like a registered sexual offender. So those people in the feds, they don't get no type of like programs or early release or none of that stuff, man. They keep them at the halfway houses. They keep them at the halfway houses, and they can't go like to certain places depending on their tier of their crime, you know, of their crime. Yeah, and he's gonna go to a dropout yard. He's gonna go to like a chomo yard where there's chomos, or what we call chomos, the child molesters. He's gonna go to one of those yards. He's not gonna
try not to say that word, but I got you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. So Kara said, if you don't mind answering, it's up to you. How did you get 10 years from one phone call?
Well, I didn't speak about no drugs on the phone call. I'm already convicted for it, you know, and my father's my co-defendant, and I was living in a different state. They called me for the whatever they were calling me before. I didn't say nothing about no drugs. All I said was okay for what he said, and just for saying okay and then going to do the transaction, that made it a conspiracy. And I never got caught with no drugs. So basically, I got basically 10 years for a phone call. You understand what I'm saying or no?
So just a thought.
Did you hear me? Or?
Yeah. I heard you. Yes. Yeah. So I have a question.
Okay.
So that means if, like, as an example, say
I'm trying to get the signal, Mr. Lego. I'm sorry. I'm trying to get the signal. Go ahead.
It's okay.
Go ahead.
Let me know when you're ready. We good?
I'm sorry?
You good now?
Okay, yeah, now I can hear you. Go ahead. Yeah, now I could. Yeah, go ahead.
So you saying if I'm on the phone with a person that's doing a crime and we just talking on the phone, you mean I can end up doing 10 years in prison by just talking to the person on the phone? You heard me? Damn, give him a second. Give him a second.
They could convict you for it if so. Okay.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. I can hear you now.
All right, I'm trying to get the signal. Right now, could you hear me now? Okay, now I got the signal.
Okay.
All right, so so if you're on the phone and even somebody that you know, they call you, like you can know for years, and you agree to somebody not knowingly, and you're like in the area and they record you saying that, they could convict you for that shit on a conspiracy, and you really don't got nothing to do with it, bro. Like just yeah. You're just saying yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
For real, bro. It's crazy. I see a lot of people like that.
Like, I just whacked somebody, and I'm like, yeah, man, I agree. They deserve it. That's enough for me to do 10 years, and he did the What?
It's called conspiracy, man. They can do whatever they want with that. They got conspiracy for everything, for murder, for hired to murder, drugs. They got conspiracy for everything in the feds. Yeah, man.
Wow.
I don't even like talking on the phone, man. I hang up on people. I swear to God, bro. I swear to God, I hang up the phone.
Golly.
Yeah, man. Which I'm not doing nothing. I changed my life. I'm a truck driver now. I'm doing good. But I'm originally from Miami. I grew up in Chicago as well, but I live in New Jersey now, and I lived in California for 11 years. That's where I was living when I caught my case. But yeah, man. I learned a lot going to the feds. That shit opened up my eyes, man.
Yeah. That is crazy. But man, thank you. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. One more thing. Whenever you get a chance, you can look at the federal guideline sheets. That's how they go. Like they go category 1, category 2. Look it up on Google and print it out, and you'll see what I'm talking about. And then what? Oh, and then another thing. They go by. I want you to read that book. It's called Busted by the Feds. If you want to buy it, go ahead. But I want you to read that book. That book will tell you everything, exactly what I'm telling you. It's called Busted by the Feds. Yeah. And then, like, since I had a record from the state, what I did was, I'm like, you know what? I'm not gonna fight with these people. At the end, that's all I got was their 98% conviction rate. So what I did was, I read in the book that if I would agree with the prosecutor for him to put it on paper on my plea agreement with no cooperation, because I'm a category 3. If they convict me, and then you got to worry about what the recommendation the probation officer gives, which she was recommending 300 and something months, like 30 years. She was, because they found a gun that was actually my dad's legally, but thank God that I didn't live in that house. I never sold drugs out of that house. All I did was have money in there, you know, cash, and the gun was legal. I never did no transaction. That's what saved me, and that my ID was from California. So what I'm trying to say is that I put it on paper, right? I had to file motions against that as well at the end, at the day of trial. If the judge agrees and waives the motions, then it lowers your guidelines. Then they give you 3 points for accepting responsibility. So it really left me at like 135 to 168. But when the judge sees how you lived your lifestyle, like the way you lived your life, on his discretion, he gave me the mandatory minimum of 120 months on his discretion at the end. But so basically, also on the plea agreement, it's not a binding plea, but it's on paper that the prosecutor is not seeking to 4B1 or 851 enhance me, like make me a career criminal, because then that will put you to a level 6 when you see that paper, and then it'll bring it down to 360 to life, and that's where you'll be at. Like, you can't go under that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So basically, all I got from that was, as long as the prosecutor agrees, then I'll start off at a regular 10 to life. You know what I'm saying? Even though I'm in the middle on a category 3. So man, when they gave me those 10 years, I was doing backflips, man. No, I'm just serious. Like, when you're in those situations, it's really like that. You know what I mean? So yeah, man. Yeah, and all those kids out there, don't do crime. Stay off the streets. The streets ain't nothing. You know, and I'm not trying to preach, but for real, all you guys putting guns on Instagram and YouTube, I've seen a lot of people in the feds for that, especially if you're a convicted felon. They come pick you up. The 924G. They give you a 5-year mandatory minimum, and they can give you up to 15 years if you're already a convicted felon. So it's not even worth it. Yeah, man.
Damn. Well, I'm about to end the stream, man. I appreciate you coming up, and I would love to have you, man.
Thank you. I'm not a groupie, but I've been following you since you opened your channel, man. You heard, bro?
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. And if there's anything else you want to talk about, like pertaining to this Diddy stuff, send me a DM. Here's my Instagram right here. And yeah, I would love to put a show together and just talk about it.
All right, man. I appreciate you. Thank you, man. Okay. God bless you guys, man. Thank you, bro.
All right, man. Have a good one.
You have a good one. Yeah, you too.
All right. That was dope. He gave me a lot of insight or whatever. So I'm about to go. I wasn't expecting to do this show until I heard about the trial. So phones ringing and everything. Talk to y'all later.